Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Codes with Jeff. I'm super excited to welcome you to this episode. I believe this is going to be a really, really insightful one. Wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this, I hope you're doing good. I hope you've really had an amazing day so far, or I hope you're going to have an amazing day. Listening to this should definitely help with that. All right. So in the last episode, if you have not seen that, you can click on the link above. But in the last episode, we spoke with Mr. Innocent Udogu, the CTO and co-founder of Ubenwa.ai. And we learned a lot about how to go from zero to MVP in that episode. It was really insightful and packed. And if you've not seen that, once again, you should either go listen to it on Spotify or on YouTube or any of the platforms where we have that particular episode. Hi, my name is Jeff Uche, and I'm a seasoned technology leader with years of experience crafting digital products and leading technology teams. I'm super excited to welcome you to this episode of Beyond the Codes with Jeff, where I have conversations with other amazing technology leaders. Please like, subscribe, and share this content with others so that they can learn as well. It definitely will be worth their time. Today, we are going to be speaking to someone who is a really special person and a friend. He is, drum rolls, the CTO and co-founder of Thrive Agric, Mr. Ayo Arikawe. We're finally doing this, man.
Yeah, it's really well. Thanks for having me, Jeff. This is really, really good, and I think it's definitely needed.
Awesome. I'm so happy to have you here. We are honored to have you here, sir.
I'm privileged to be here.
As you can see, we are treating him like a British guest. So we have the tea, the tiny teacup. In Nigeria, we drink tea with big mugs, but yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much, man.
So how has your week been so far?
It's actually been intense. It doesn't feel like today is Wednesday. It feels like it's Friday already. Yeah, it's been back-to-back meetings. Just trying to get stuff out.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's a very one of those interesting things that we are currently like inventing what the year should look like. So we don't have any static goals.
Crazy.
So it's a lot of moving parts, but I mean, it's been good.
Yeah. I mean, everyone would think that every company starts out the year like, have everything planned by January, and then you just like...
I think some years are like that.
Yeah.
Some years are like, okay, we know like all the levers, we know what's going to get wrong. But I feel like actually operating like the Nigerian market, this is not one of those years to have static goals. Like you have to have like backups like A, B, C, D. And as everyone fail, you have to like come back to the drawing board and then try to say, okay, how do we change direction? What should we do? So that's pretty much how it's been for us. We've changed our plans for the years like quite a couple of times already.
Wow. That's really fascinating. I mean, guys, I think Thrive Agric, if you don't know Thrive Agric, you can look them up, and I'm sure Ayo is going to talk more about what they do, but I think Thrive Agric is solving one of the most crucial problems that we have, in the ecosystem, right? As a nation, as a continent even. I think that when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to Africa, you can't separate agriculture. It's like, very, very intrinsic to, how we survive and how we grow. And, being able to, in this modern day and age where everybody is building a fintech, in this modern day and age, being able to build a solution that caters to that, I think is really, really interesting. And we definitely want to hear all about it. All right. But yeah, before we go there, I think we'd just want to know, who's Ayo,
Yeah. So I don't know how to go. Do I go for like how I got into tech or just generally just think about?
Yeah, I think, you can talk about growing up, school, and how you going to tech.
Okay. I think I definitely was born in Lagos, went to like primary school initially.
Okay.
But I went to Kano when I was like 8 or something, and that was one of the best times of my life. Like I really enjoyed. Yeah, I enjoyed living in the north. It's way cooler than living in Lagos.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean everyone is calm. Like there's community, there's family.
Yeah.
It was definitely a different experience being there, but like it was really, really amazing. Then I went to secondary school there also, maybe it's like my junior secondary school. Then eventually moved back to Lagos to finish my senior school, and then did university later on. I think how I got into tech was, I'd always been curious. I'd always been a science student, like really interested in like tech. I was going to be an engineer, so I knew that for a fact.
Yeah.
And then so even when I was going to university, I studied computer engineering. I chose computer engineering. Although when I look at it in retrospect, I should have chosen computer science. I'm majorly because like computer engineering is 5 years and computer science is 4 years. I would have saved 1 year because I don't use the engineering part for anything. But I think I'll face it actually. So most people, I got to tech because I like tech, but I also found like there was mass opportunities to actually generate wealth from tech. Our first year in school, I remember, and some of my other friends, Joel and Sharon, and then his mom comes to visit. This literally maybe like the first week, and she's like, you know what you guys should do? Make sure that you get your money, your school fees back before you leave the university. It was a private university. So we were paying a lot of money, and she was like, "You guys can do it." I'm just like, and I think that was like the first person talking to me about entrepreneurship.
Wow.
Literally, like that first. They had done a couple of things, but this was like that first all. Wait, so this is actually even possible. And so me, my friend, three of us put money together. I think we put like 5,000 each together, and we bought a printer. Essentially, and the idea was we would essentially print past questions and just sell on campus. But then that was like the first part. Then the second part of it, we're going to build software. We're going to help people like fix their systems, install Microsoft. So then everybody used Windows. So we help you upgrade to like Microsoft Vista. It was Microsoft Premium. There were just like all these different versions. So like those guys in school, you come when you have computer problems, don't change your RAM from 2 gig to 8 gig. I know like those. I mean, like younger people probably don't even know what that means.
Don't know what that means, man. Yeah.
But then like we literally help people upgrade. We'll teach people how to code in Java. So there was just like a lot that I did then. But then I think one of the things I realized was those were not skills that were useful. They were globally useful. So those were skills because I was in a community where people needed it. Yeah. And so if I was to leave school and I was somewhere else, like would people still need the skills? So I started getting into like actual proper coding, picked up a bit of Java, picked up PHP. I think I focused like a lot more on PHP. And then just that was essentially the story for me. Or I think it's probably like maybe 100 level in university. Wow. And that was my journey into tech. So I mean I started my first company in university. I even met my current co-founder in university also. So
you guys went to the same school?
Yeah, went to the same school. Met like 100 levels. So we built like we did a couple of businesses in school. We also we had a platform where people could order things that they wanted on campus. Wow. Yeah, so we tried our hands on different things essentially.
What university was this?
I went to community university.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the rich kids, yeah?
No, not the rich kids. I mean, I guess it's that, but most people actually, when they were probably like middle class. But yeah, I think like it was a good school from the context of the fact that there were a lot of like people that were hungry for like what's next, like how to change the world in their own way. So it was a really good community.
Yeah, this feels like an advert for Covenant University.
Well, I don't know. They're not paying for this, so not an advert.
That makes sense. I mean, that's super cool. It's interesting to actually see that almost everyone who I see doing something, in entrepreneurship, they've had a track record of trying to do something, even from way before they finally found what they were doing. So how did you guys finally arrive at Thrive?
Interesting. So let me see this journey. I think this was after university actually. So we met this guy who his name is Ore, went to school with us also, and his dad has like a soybeans factory somewhere in Agric. So think about it as they would buy soybeans and turn it into like soy meal. So it's stuff that people that own like poultry farms then buy the products from them, basically. And like really massive factory, really good operations he had. Wow. And he had issues sourcing soybeans. So we typically buy from the north in trucks and people will supply them. And so one day we're having a conversation with Ore and he's like, he wants to his dad needs a lot of soybeans. And I was in Lagos then, my co-founder Oka was in Benue. And then I called Oka, I'm like, oh, I thought you said you guys grow like soybeans or something like that in Benue. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, that's true. So let's figure something out. And so we just like, this is just literally no tech. We're just that curious of how can we solve the problem for this guy and make money from it.
Interesting.
And so we found a way to raise some money.
Were you still in school at this time?
No, I was out of school, maybe like a year or two out of school.
Okay.
And then Uka figured out that Uka found a way, got soybeans. We loaded it on a truck. I don't know how old were we then, we were like 21 or 22, I can't remember. And then we moved the truck. So he figured out moving the truck. And then I was liaising with like the factory. And then I remember when the first truck came, this is like 2 a.m., the guys called. Because we were tracking them all day, they're on their way. I would go stay in the factory morning to night, they're still on their way, they've not come. I mean, like, well, that's one of my biggest lessons, don't believe truck drivers. And then it's like 3 a.m., and then the truck arrives, and then the guy's like, what are the gates? But I'm like, oh, it's 3 a.m., they won't open to 8. And the guy's like, you need to come now, or else we're going to just dump the goods on the ground.
Oh.
And I'm like, 3 a.m., I find an Uber and I head out and I'm just there with them at 3 a.m. And the idea is just, I will sit with you guys till morning so that you are not upset. And so we literally did that transaction. I mean, got some things wrong, lost some money. Not a lot, but generally it showed that there was a need and it shows that farmers were willing to sell their product. And I think we just spent time like doing some more supply, just figuring out how much more the challenges these farmers faced were. And I think we did that for about 2-3 years. And then eventually that evolved into what Tribe Agric as today it is. Then there was no name.
Yeah.
It was just like, there's a problem, we can figure out supply, and then build the tech around it, build the processes around it. Yeah.
Interesting. This is really interesting. I mean, I think for most people today, name is just one of those things that they quickly worry about, right? And it's just like, what am I going to call this? Yeah. So, I mean, really connecting with the problem and trying to solve it.
Absolutely.
Right. All the fancy stuff, bells and whistles can come later.
Yeah. I mean, even like when we came up with like, okay, we finally know what this company should be.
Yeah.
And we're going to be like, I remember Oka and I won a call. And we literally went round through a few names, decided on Drive, designed like a logo on Canva, literally like on that same conversation, bought the domain on that conversation and built the landing page with WordPress. Because we're just like, this isn't the priority, right?
Yeah.
Let's just have a brand out and then we'll figure out the brand, we will get the logo over time. I mean, at some point I had an agency to design a logo, right? But that was when we had the resources to do that. But like back then, just get stuff done. So sometimes when I see like founders are like, I mean, literally like day one, you do have product market fit and then you have an agency designing your logo. It's like, what's your priority? But yeah, that's how we started as a dad.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's talk a little bit about how your understanding was at that point. Was it the fact that you were on a search for an idea, right? Or for a problem to solve? Were you searching for it, or was it the case that you stumbled on this and you just felt like this is something to solve, so this is worth my time?
Yeah. Actually, no. I think like we had an agency then, so we're like building apps for people, building websites, just helping people like solve problems. But we always knew that we've just always been curious about solving problems, and so we've started like. I mean, I've probably started like maybe like 10 companies at this point, honestly. I mean, most of them didn't survive. A couple survived. But then we're just that thing of there was a problem, we'll fix it. Like where those guys are always like curious about solving problems. But I think like we also wanted to solve something that was really big and significant. Uka had a lot of experience like in Agric space. I mean, coming from where he is and just watching all of that. And I think for us, starting Tribe was really, that just meeting that guy that needed soybeans was really just on one end, this is actually a problem.
Yeah.
Especially like just out farmers figuring out how to sell their products. But on the second end was like, there's an opportunity to make money here. So like, I mean, let's try it. So when we did the first transaction, we're not thinking about a company. We're just like, let's solve this problem and see what comes out of it. And then on solving that and realizing that there's actually an opportunity here, then it's over time just evolved into a company. So I would not say we're searching for an idea. I would say we're curious about what problems to solve. We wanted to solve big problems. We definitely wanted to start a company, but we're not searching for it per se. The opportunity just came, we solved it, and then we figured out this is something we can scale.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I read something for Paul Graham, at some point, where he kind of tried to differentiate amongst, say, different types of founders, right? And I guess the summary is that what I realized is that for me, I wanted to be a particular type of founder. Like I wanted to become, let me not just say founder so it doesn't sound cliche, let's say entrepreneur, but you can become that person who isn't particular about whether you're solving a problem here, you're solving a problem there, but you're just that person that sees a solution to problems, right? You walk into a restaurant, there's something that's not working, well, you're thinking, there could be a way to fix this, right? And that happens for you over and over again. And I kind of see that pattern because the switch from building apps to an agri business that is entirely non-sexy, right, is really interesting. Like it must have been that you guys were that kind of those kind of people that you just wanted to see problems and solve them.
I mean, definitely mostly that. But I would think also that with ag was a problem we could relate to. Right. So Uka coming from his experience, having lived in Benue, I coming from my experience in Kano.
Yeah.
And then it was also a problem that was like very real. So it wasn't one of those things of I will build something and I would see if the market will react to it. It was like a literal need. Like when you solve a problem, it's like you're changing life of a farmer. And so for us, it was like, nobody's going to do this hard stuff. Like, I mean, there are many easier things you could do. There are many easier ways to make money. But if we could solve it, then we'll build like a really formidable company. Yeah. And so, we decided to do that.
That's really interesting. I mean, that's really interesting. And so what has Thrive Agric gone on to become today?
Interesting. So I'll say today we obviously started out with like zero tech. For us, it was like prove the problem exists, then build the technology to back it. So today we've built something called the Agriculture Operating System, and it's sort of like a suite of apps as of now that helps us essentially help the farmers figure out on one end how do they unlock credit. So we help farmers, we capture data on the farmers from KYC to what their land is, to area coverage, to their standing with the community. Actually just helping us credit score the farmer. And then banks sort of like then connect to our platform to provide credit to the farmers basically. We use that same data to provide the farmers advice. So it's things like from based on soil, based on weather, based on what type of inputs they're using, what their allocation should be, how should they improve their processes, how can they get better results. So today, a farmer in Nigeria is doing maybe like 1/20 on the same piece of land what the farmer in Brazil will do. But then we are providing farmers like this sort of data, and today they are able to do about 3 times the national average on like the crops we're focused in. So that's the second thing. And on the last side, we help them sell their products. So through us, they can sell their products to FMCGs, whether that's a flour mills or a Dangote, or just essentially whoever wants to buy the farmer's product, basically. So that's what we've built to the AOS today. That's we're working with a little over 500,000 farmers. We've provided over $150 million in credits to farmers in our network. And I think just in terms of like the significance of that, so farmers at Thrive today produce about 7% of the maize consumed in the country generally, and we contribute about 50% of the grains in National Grain Reserve by the government. So I mean, this is some of the things we're doing. And I mean, for us, the goal is to get to a stage where, I mean, our vision is building an Africa that feeds herself and the world. And that means that we want to get to a stage where we have a very large network of farmers. That number for us is 11 million farmers in 2027 who are producing a very significant percentage of the food consumed in the world. And we'll just scale up the AOS to keep providing them today, whether that's credits, or in the future provide them things from financial services to insurance, to access to whatever tools or resources, whether that's clean energy or whatever, just to ensure they can scale up production for the world. That's basically.
That's powerful. An Africa that feeds herself and the world. I really like that.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really catchy. Wow. That's massive. That's such an impact project. I mean, you must be excited waking up every morning to go work on this.
Yeah, it is, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's definitely challenging. It's definitely not. It's not. I mean, because the mix of getting tech right, but also getting the people right and getting processes right. It's not one of those companies that are just fully tech and then everybody in the organization is fully remote.
Yeah.
Today we're about 2,000 people at Thrive. And
So what?
Yeah.
So what?
Yes. I mean, and almost like 1,000, almost 1,800 like wake up every day, either that's somewhere in Kaduna or somewhere in Gombe, and they're going to interact with farmers to sell our products, just tell farmers to come on board our platform. So it's a lot of work. So yes, but it does come definitely with, beyond like the financial reward of doing this, is you can literally see people's lives change. So you can be like, oh, I started out with this farmer, all he was doing was getting enough food to fend for himself, right? And it's not an NGO, it's not a charity project. It's not like I'm dashing him money. Like, I'm literally lending him money. I'm providing him tech to improve his process. And I could get that farmer to 2x his income in 1 year and just keep scaling up from that. So we've watched farmers go from, I can only feed myself, to now, I think this particular farmer on our platform has about 20 hectares. And what 20 hectares looks like is, imagine like 25 football fields.
Yeah.
And that's like the size of his production. So now, beyond like just doing for himself, he's able to like build for his community, just increase his income, essentially, like whether that's now funds to send his kids to school or do whatever. You just like, it's new possibilities essentially for them. So yeah, that's been the journey. So it's definitely rewarding.
Wow, this is massive. So literally, a farmer that joins the Thrive network is definitely in for a big deal. I mean, you could literally take them through the process of, unlocking their full potential.
Absolutely.
That's massive, man. That's massive. Great work you're doing.
Thank you. Doing our best.
Yeah, that's very humble.
Well,
yeah. Wow. So let's dive into your personal story, right? How you've starting off. I mean, it's always been the entrepreneurial mindset and the desire to create value, of course. But then you've also been an engineer, and I mean, we spoke about this the other day, and today, like, you're not that guy that codes and does all of that.
I miss it really.
All of those technical stuff anymore, right? But yeah, like, in navigating that, all right, in creating solutions, which you've obviously done at different capacities. What are some of the soft skills, right, beyond the codes that you've really seen make a difference for you?
I can think of a couple. I think like the first thing is definitely like people. Just being able to trust people and rely on people, and be also the person that people can trust and rely on. I think on the journey for me has really been that, this guy is dependable, we can count on this guy to deliver. So I remember, like, even one of my first gigs was interesting. Most of my early gigs, our interest has come from like different classmates. So like, I think one of my classmates is Mom on this school, and we were going to build like a portal for this school, and it was just like, we're not that close then. We was like, there's this guy I know, like, if he says he can do it, and if he says he will do it, then he will get it done. And that's literally how I got my first gig, and it was good money. It took me through NYSC and stuff. But then I think it's just really being able to be that person that people can rely on, like being a man of your words. And I think it's really helped us all through our journey. So from getting our first investments, from getting different partners, there's always been people saying that, see, we trust these guys. These guys say they'll do stuff, they'll do it. And it's just really helped us like open massive doors. And I think we had like a particular challenge even like 2020 where COVID came, we couldn't pay out some investors, and it was like a lot of like, was this going to be like the end of Thrive? But it was just like people saying, we know these guys, we work with these guys. Like, if they tell you this is white, then it is white. Right? These are things that you can count on. So I think like it's really important to be that person that people can rely on. I think also the other thing is being able to rely on other people as you build like a really big company. You need to be able to sort of trust people to own things and be able to execute. And I think in like recruiting, like our first hire, we have it in our tribe. Like everyone owns their stuff, so we don't build processes where. I mean, even if you build a process that relies on like multiple other people, someone has to take ownership of it. Somebody has to be the person that says, this is not done until it's done.
Yeah.
And for that, you need to be able to trust people. So if there's someone in finance, you're trusting that they're doing their job. If there's someone in growth, you're trusting them to do their job. So we're not in everybody's business. I mean, Uka and I spend most of our times, I mean, obviously we're not putting our fires, which is 90% of what startups do.
Yeah.
But like just trying to work on new products, trying to do business development, not doing like the actual day-to-day things, because you have to trust people to do that. So I think like having those that people skill definitely of just identifying the right timelines, provide them the resources they need, and just inspiring them to do what they need.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, also being that person that people can trust, that if you say you do stuff, you do stuff. I think another thing is definitely like communication skills.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things you need to be able to do as a leader is to be able to communicate in a way that on one end, people have clarity of what you're trying to do. But on the second end, like they're inspired to want to do it. Although I think a lot of founders have this, which is why they're able to sell people visions to or leave your job, come up with me, we're going to build something really successful. But I think that's been really, really important for us. You're just like getting people to join us, getting people to want to build with us, investors, partners, everyone, as being able to sell like a very clear vision. And I mean, our vision is like one of the hardest ones. So we're not building the kind of company that build just like sexy tools, sell after 2 years, and everybody goes. Like we're building a company that we will need to be around for a long while to get the kind of impact we will need. We'll probably need to build Thrive. We'll probably be at like year 10 when we're saying like we're actually making the kind of impact we want to be. So it's like a very long journey. It's a journey of like having to convince people to stay with you. That many years is one of the things that we need to do. So I would say like very, very clear communication. There's a couple of things I can about. I think another thing like soft skill. I don't know if there's a soft skill, but like just like hard work, man. Like we need to put in the work. I remember like, so we had gone to YC and we went to, I'm not sure who told us, I don't know if it's PG or somebody else. And then one of the things that he told us is work at your startup. And it was just like, it was weird, like you're a founder, obviously you work at your startup, you think I work at your startup. But then one of the things they told us is at that early stage, like most founders are like going for events, which is not bad. I mean, there are obviously good ones to go for. Going for meetups. There's one investor dinner somewhere. There's one conference in Kenya. There's this and this and there's that. And I think our microphone were lucky enough to get that advice. Or there's this award. So generally, like, we generally don't go for stuff. I mean, obviously if you pay for our tickets, maybe we'll go. But like regardless, like, so we're just not being everywhere because so that advice was really like wake up every morning and think about how does your startup get from 2x to 4x? How do you go from 100 people to 1,000 people? And ensuring that you're constantly checking in on that. Like, you know what levers are going to get you there, what frameworks, what are the things you need to do. So I would say like just that pure hard work. A lot of times, especially when you don't have the exposure or the experience that a lot of other people have, being able to work harder than them is going to like super count. So yeah, that's some of the things we've tried to work out.
And that's really solid. I think for the last thing you spoke about, a variation of that advice that I have gotten is, work on your startup, right? So it was like, there's a difference between working in your startup and working on your startup, right? And that's something that for a lot of people at first isn't like a big deal, right? For a lot of people, it's not a big deal. It's like, or they may not understand it to be a big deal. Let me put it that way. But I think the explanation to that was the fact that sometimes when you're working in your startup or in your company, you don't have that ability to step out.
Absolutely.
Right?
You can't see the bigger picture.
Yeah, to see the bigger picture. And I think it keys in very much to like, what you said when you mentioned the fact that you and Oka, you spend your time doing other external things while trusting people internally to do the day-to-day, right? Yeah, that's super important. So the three things you mentioned is first, building credibility, right? And that doesn't just start when you become a founder, when you become a leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. If people don't trust you when you're starting out, when you're just a regular engineer, the regular product designer, all of that. If you don't build
That's 5 jobs.
That's 5 jobs.
I refuse to update your LinkedIn.
Oh my God. This feels very personal to me. Yeah, so if you're not able to build credibility, then you wouldn't be able to leverage it later. Right. And I think it's so important because it now kind of boils down to what kind of game are you playing in your career?
Yeah.
Right. Are you playing for the long term? Are you playing for the short term? Like a lot of people today do not care if I didn't deliver their project, it's fine. That kind of thing. Like you said, I have 3 jobs and all of that. Right. And what you're saying points to the fact that can come right back to harm you, right, in the future.
Absolutely.
And why that is not being paid attention to today, because people want to say, I work this 3 job and cumulatively I earn $10,000 or I earn $5,000, right? But you're not really playing the long-term game.
Yeah. Yep.
So rather than do that, we should rather be investing in building credibility, because that's a bigger currency.
Absolutely.
Right, to spend in the future.
Absolutely. And there is nothing wrong in doing 5 jobs. Like if you can figure out the time together.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be that person that's there's a stand-up meeting and you say you are sick or you're in transit. Right? Well, in the real reason you're on another call, in another meeting.
Yeah.
You're just that person that's just from one job to the other, but you've never really built anything. Mm-hmm. Like no one can really count on you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, because like ultimately there'll be many rooms where like, oh, can we hire this guy? Should we not hire that guy? And we've experienced that so many times where someone just goes, we've worked with this guy in this other company, like he's not serious, like he's not reliable. And like this is regardless of how good you are, right? You just need to be super reliable. Yeah. It's like really, really important.
That's really insightful. So you talk about communication as well, right? And I think if we translate this a bit to like the ability to sell, right? From the way you communicate, I can already tell that you are able to sell your vision, right?
Right.
You show that. But most technical people don't feel like this is a skill set they need to get, right? They feel like, man, I just want to write my code, wear my hoodie, write my code, don't talk to anybody. Yeah. I mean, it comes to stand-ups, they don't even like communicate very well, right? Yeah. I think that, and
they don't want to also.
And they don't want to.
They're like, don't bring me into meetings.
You get, yeah, don't bring me into meetings. Don't do all of that. But I don't know where I landed from, but early on, right, I kind of figured out that every opportunity I had to join a stand-up, to give was an ability to learn how to sell. Yeah. Was an ability to convince someone, right? And you kind of see that like help you throughout your career, because even the technical things you do needs to be sold, right? Like you need to communicate to someone. If you have choice over, if you have an opinion, over a different, an opinion for a different framework or a preference for a different framework, right? Versus what your teammate is using. And you're about to start a new project. What language do we use? What framework do we use? Yeah. That's an opportunity to sell.
Absolutely.
Right? I've seen engineers beef themselves about it. I'm like, you should be practicing your sales here, right? You should be trying to win over your teammates.
Absolutely. Yeah. I see that happen time and time again, even on our team, right? Where somebody goes and it's 3 months down the line, and you're like, guy, why are you not pulling on weight? And it's like, I never liked this framework. I complain about it. And I'm just like, but we all had a conversation, like, why did you not bring this up? Why did you not sell yourself? Yeah. And I think like even as you grow in your career, and whether that's you becoming an engineering manager or head of technology or whatever, you need people would move to trust people who can communicate well, who can sell, who can lead a team. Yeah. I mean, even not even that far, like just even becoming a senior engineer and having like 2 people, like you need to be able to communicate, you need to be able to inspire, you need to be able to train. Like it's a super, super important skill.
Because being a senior engineer or being head of engineer or whatever, it doesn't mean you now impose your decisions,
Absolutely.
right? It means that you still come to the table to negotiate,
Absolutely.
right? To say we do this way. And that's an opportunity for you to sell, right? And it's fine, like if you're not able to sell, clearly, and someone else does it better, you should also be, humble enough to like go with, because it never ends, right? Even in board meetings, these things happen.
Always. So it's always, and it's sort of like where, even when you think about like where things are, like big companies or big countries, right?
Yeah.
You find out that vocal people actually have their way a lot of times because they're able to communicate clearly, even if they're selling like what's not valuable, right?
Yeah.
So now think about you that is like working on valuable stuff. Like you're actually like the person that built the product that is raising all these billions of dollars.
You get that,
right? But like you might always just be that random guy that nobody really cares about, or nobody's really to upskill or give different challenges, right? Because you can't communicate, they can't bring you to present, they can't trust you to lead people under you, and you're always frustrated. Oh, I'm doing a lot for this company, I'm not sleeping more than 2 hours a day. And while all of that is great, like if people cannot trust that you can lead people, you can inspire people, you can sell a vision or sell yourself, like nobody just willing to take you to the next level.
I like that. I've experienced this, sitting on both sides of the table, right? In a particular company, I was an IC, right? Just an engineer in the company. And while I wasn't leading the team, I had a way of always, communicating what we were doing, right? The progress we were making and all of that. And it didn't take long. It wasn't long after I joined the team. And even the CEO, right, would reach out to me from to write a report for investor updates, right? And I had to do that for him like time and time. But there was a team lead, right? And there were like different people. And what I realized, even when I became, a leader myself, was also that there were people I liked going to ask what's happening, give me an update, because I'm sure
clarity.
That's super important. Yeah. If you want to like move forward in your career, and guys, like this is super important. If you want to move forward in your career, it's not just about how technical you can be, you are, how sound, your code is, if you wrote every test and all. Why those technical skills are super important, you need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to share what you've built, what you are building at every particular point in time. And a final thing I would also say is I've also seen people who built entire products, for example, right, trying to raise money and can't do that. Yeah. And I've seen people with just a memo raising money.
Without the product, right?
Without the product, raising money.
I mean, there's some sort of balance to that. Sometimes, like, you also don't want to be, especially if you're building like a very technical product, while you might optimize for being able to communicate it clearly, communicate the stuff, you don't necessarily need to become that person that is the guy going to pitch, the guy always telling a story. You can find a co-founder who does that business development and sales. If it's not your strength, you don't need to necessarily at the very early stage of your career take on that, because somebody needs to focus on the product. So I guess that's why people advise for co-founders.
Yeah, but even if like, what I've seen is that even if you have someone who is like more of a business person who knows how to sell, right? At some point, the investors will likely want to hear from the technical person.
Absolutely.
Right? Let's speak to the person building. Let's hear from them, right? And at that point, you shouldn't be coming there to them, this thing is hard.
At all. They don't want to hear that.
You should be coming here to sell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And even if, you are, I think about when I think about leadership, my favorite people to look at are football coaches, sports coaches generally.
Interesting.
I'm currently, going through, my current study for the month of February is a book, Leadership Principles from Nick Saban, right? He was a football coach in the US, right? And what I really, of course, aside the fact that I'm attracted to them because of the passion that's involved in sports, what I really like about them is the fact that as a football coach, you're responsible for so many outcomes, right? The strength of your team starts from recruiting, right? Your success in recruiting starts from positioning.
Yeah.
You know who you are, right? And I've seen people who I was trying to like hire into our team. I was trying to recruit into our team, and the question they ask me is, "Who are other people working here?"
Always, yes.
Right. So you want to be that guy that people even want to work with, and I think it's very, very important if you know how to sell yourself.
Yeah.
Right. If you know, so you don't even need to be the guy talking to investors or the business guy or anything. But even in that,
always, like even in that small team, you still want to be that person.
You still want to be that person that knows how to do that. It's never something that you would not find useful.
I agree.
Yeah. And of course, finally, you spoke about hard work. Truly, I mean, we have all of those sayings today. Oh, don't work hard, work smart. All of that's like, man, there is, at the end of the day, there is nothing that you can, I mean, you can work hard in a smart way, right? The goal is not just to be effective, but to be efficient as well.
Absolutely.
Right? But there is, you can't take a shortcut.
Yeah.
You have to still go through the path.
You have to do the hours.
You have to sit down and grind.
Absolutely.
Right? That's it. Like there's no shortcut.
Yeah.
Because I've also worked with people who were really good at talking big. Yeah. But then while that is good, and of course we just advocated for that, it's also important to be someone who knows how to do. Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect combination. Right? If you talk big, you should do big.
Absolutely. Right? And like I feel like with like the old like how tech is blowing up, and just how everyone is like, there's everybody raising money, which is really good for the ecosystem, by the way. But like, you just find people who are like, oh, I want to build these, are trying to get a product, or have this company. Even people who built a product, but like they've never spoken to a user. They won't. I mean, they're again still that thing of not working on your startup. You're just like everywhere else, but actually doing what needs to be done,
avoiding the work.
Absolutely,
do everything else that looks like progress, but not progress.
Exactly, and like you find out that in a day you're not spending more than 1 hour actually just doing the work. Yeah, and especially when you look at, I mean, I like to think about myself as I'm building against like many challenges, right? Even though, and then that means for me that I have to work harder than everyone else. Yeah. So I would work smart, I would talk smart, I would communicate, but like ultimately, like I need to work harder than everybody else. Like that's the only way this succeeds because, so I think like for a lot of founders, just think about if I mean, most people have seen that you're actually really smart. Like you can be somewhere, get a fancy job, earning money. Like, so why do a startup if you won't work at it?
Yeah, that
so
makes
like
sense.
just put in the hours. And I think even beyond like being a startup founder, just being that like either you're in products or you're in engineering, like you need to be that person that gets work done.
You want to be that person.
You want to be that person that gets work out. Yeah. So give the hours.
Whatever you are, be the best at it.
Be the best at it, absolutely. And you cannot actually become the best at it just by working on it, literally. So, like for me, I mean, I've always been. I used to be very introverted. I still am very introverted. Yeah. And I think that it was just that waking up every day and having to speak to somebody and you just get better at it. And the same thing with like tech or anything. Like once you put it out, I think there's a study that says, if you spend 10,000 hours on anything, you become an expert. You become an expert, And it's just, that's just it.
That's true. Kids also very much to what we were talking about earlier. You try to solve problems over and over again. Even if you fail, you just become that person that knows how to identify problems. Right? And you know how to identify problems. You just know that if I tried it, it won't work. So don't even waste your time. So like, there are all of those things. And tomorrow people think that you're special, but no, you're not. You just have put so much work behind the scene, right? There are people today who are designers, people today who are engineers, people today who are like, they do what they do at different capacities. And I know that anytime I want to execute a project and I want this to come out, just look for these guys.
Yeah, they will get it work done. They will get
it done. Right? No long talk, nothing. They would get it done. That's it. And I honestly, that's who you want to be.
Absolutely.
Right? Especially, I think it's such a powerful tool to have in your arsenal in this time and age where like appearance, right, is prioritized over content.
Correct.
Right. And then if you now have the appearance, and when people poke at the appearance, they can really find content. I mean,
Perfect.
that's it, right?
Yeah.
It's something
Yeah,
that
because ultimately, like, talking will get you in the room.
Yeah.
Right. But like ultimately when it's time to do business,
Yeah.
they would actually remove the veils, and then the question is like, what did they see?
Exactly.
Right. So even in our office, like our engineering lead is like, whether someone says they can code or not, like he doesn't even care. He just like come to the office. Let's like do this stuff. Let's say like give you a project to work on.
Yeah.
So he has a model of, he will put you on contract for like a couple months, and then like sees like you get stuff done, then he gives like a full-time offer.
Yeah.
And so, and I think like a lot of businesses are figuring that out. Like there are many talkers out there, and even in terms of even being a founder, investors are also figuring out. There are many people that just have like a veil, right? But like ultimately, like there's nothing there. Like
I mean, I think just to talk a bit about like the founder part, right? This is something I understood much later, but what a lot of people do not actually understand is that investors, for example, care. I mean, this is not investors or anything, but they care less about that particular problem you're solving in most cases, right? Like, if I give you my money right now, what I want to get from that money is returns.
Absolutely.
Right? So I am not super concerned. Like, it is not the thing on top of my priority whether you are going to, for example, if you tell me I'm going to build a house and we're going to get this money back, and then along the way you figure out that building a house won't get this money back,
but something else will.
Something else will, right? I mean, it's fine.
Absolutely.
The most important is I get my money back.
Absolutely.
Right? And so you want to be that person who is who someone can say that this guy, just like you said, will do everything possible to get your money back. Don't worry, he's going to get your money back, right? And that's who you really want to be, right? And
I mean, you're right about that. Like most investors, I think even like YC and many other people, they'll tell you that most of the companies that invest in change the ideas they're working on within like the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So like, especially at like a very early stage, most times like you're betting on the founder, because like no matter how the fancy models and everything, you eat the market changes. You have to adjust the products. You have to adjust the processes. So I think like at that point, it's really investors are betting on the quality of the founders, on the dedication of the founders to solve this problem.
Solve the problem, yes.
And then we trust that even if the problem changes or the solution or the approach to that changes, these guys will keep working at it to get it done.
Yeah. And the benefits of being this type of person can also be two-pronged, right? I think that first there's an internal benefit. And I tell people that my biggest conviction for my next battle is a testimony from my previous battle, right? So if, for everything that we've said, for example, building credibility, right? Everything. It's, if you do it, right? If you do it and you succeed or do not succeed, whatever the outcome is, like, but in the process of doing it, you become a particular type of person. It's, you're becoming someone in the process. And all of those small wins, like the summation of all of those small wins is what finally gives you your big win. Because internally, it motivates you. If I couldn't fail this exam, then I'm going to pass this next one, that kind of thing. And if you are also someone that has spent time, for example, you might be an engineer today, and in the next 5 years, you'll be a founder, right? The credibility, the strength of character, the resilience you need to succeed as a founder will not be built when you become a founder.
I agree.
You need to build that today.
I agree. Yeah, it's all today. It's all in the little things that add up finally. And even in that journey, right? Eventually, when you become a founder, if that is the route you want to go, or you become like CTO at maybe like Google or something. Like it still be people that knew you at the early days, people that have worked with you before, that will constantly have to speak for you, have to refer you, and then it's just about like, does this guy get stuff done or not?
Yeah. My first major role in my career, I had a CTO of a company who actually offered me cash plus equity, right? Some equity to join the company. And I joined as an intern.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I was probably the worst coder on the team then. I mean, I had the sheer intelligence, but not like I knew. But somehow he saw something that made him want to hold on, like, and it was really, really crucial for my growth. I mean, at the end of the day, I ended up being the one to rewrite the entire backend for the.
Wow.
Yeah, it's because I grew from being an intern to, but I'm sure that it was something beyond just my technical skills that he saw then.
Probably hunger or like the
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these things, I think they matter so much.
They do.
They matter so much.
And at like a later stage in your career, they will actually really matter more than even like your technical skills potentially.
Yeah, I agree.
Because at some stage, like they expect you to inspire other people. They can't. I mean, if you are building like a product, at something like one person can only build. I mean, at very big companies, there's probably like 5 people just focused on one feature.
Yeah.
Right. So when they are deciding on who should be the engineering lead, who should be a product lead, it's definitely going to be who can inspire other people that can do other things. Who is going to, who has proven himself at one product, at the second product. It's not going to be who has stayed longer, who has many years of experience.
That makes a lot of sense.
So like your hard work is going to like super, super important.
Wow, this is so clear. So clear. I mean, so just to talk a bit more about things that Thrive. So what's the ratio of the team today? Like 30% technical, 70% operational, or?
Well, so I mean, I would say like so of the 2,000, there's like 1,800 people who work on who are field officers, warehouse guys. Okay. So typically non-technical on contracts.
Okay.
But like of the core 200 people that actually are involved like tech, product growth. So we have today I would say about 20% of the team focused on building the products.
Oh, okay.
But I think again, why it's still like a very unique company. There's like there's a lot of moving parts essentially to the company. From figuring out like the FMCG's right product, figure out the farmers onboarding, figuring out risk. So there's lots of processes involved. So today it's about 20% of the team that's technical. But we're constantly like growing that and so like doubling down on that number. We're also sort of like going a direction where as we're trying to increase farmer number, also we're trying to also increase the output per farmer.
Okay.
So now trying to like build other products on top of like what we already have, still within the AOS.
I love the granularization.
Yeah. So we're also like going to probably like double like the tech team like within the next 1 year just to be able to deliver on that. So yeah, but I mean that's where we are right now.
Yeah. Are you currently hiring? For tech
so
roles?
We actually are not hiring per se. We have most of the senior team, but we just launched an internship actually, and you guys should sign up. You can check it out on our LinkedIn. We're trying to recruit we're just trying to build a pipeline. So we're offering trainings, onboarding like front end, back end, product people.
Nice.
And the idea is just like on one end, coming person have skill, provide value to them, whether they decide to work with us or not. So yeah, we plan to onboard like a significant amount of people from the internship and just have them on our pipeline. But our belief or our goal is that whether they end up working with us or not, they have enough skills to go work anywhere else. So for core tech roles, we're sort of like done with like core hiring at the moment.
Yeah. All right. That's very, very informative. So guys, if you're looking for an internship, you should go on LinkedIn. Go on LinkedIn and check out Thrive Agric's posts. You'd see information about that and apply. That might be your entry into tech. So does the background matter?
No, nothing. Nothing matters. Just be hungry.
Just be hungry. Great. This has been really insightful. So if we're to sum up the conversation here around this, I mean, it would be really build credibility, right? Build credibility, build communication skills, right? Like be a salesperson, right? And I think there is no special way per se of building these things, right? I think that most things we acquire in life is a matter of interest. Absolutely. If you don't have it, then probably you're not interested in it. And so if, for example, you want to learn how to communicate better, you want to read books on communication, you want to watch how your favorite speakers speak, you want to, you want to put some effort into it, right? Into doing that. And then finally, build resilience. Like, hard work. Hard work at the end of the day. This has been in practice. So do you have any last words for us?
I don't know. I think maybe like to non-techies that probably watch it, like get into tech. I think like just like the direction the world is moving, like we need more people involved, building products, and I mean more people definitely from Africa. We have the population, and we have the hunger, literal hunger to inspire you to code. So I think like we need more people like just like getting into tech, people building soft skills, people who can actually code, and I also think that eventually, my personal belief is like most people, even from like the founder perspective, we want to fund technical founders. So I know like there's a lot of people like, oh, I want to get into tech. What are the non-techie ways to get into tech? And while that is good and fun, while that's nice, I mean, you've built experience over a while. Maybe you have experience in like sales or in like oil and gas or something. I mean, you've probably too long in your career to want to switch careers, right? So let's say you've built 10 years experience in marketing and you want to get tech, then it makes sense, right? Maybe not to pick up tech, but maybe pick up non-tech roles. But I think like you're just young, fresh out of school. You should not be looking for non-tech roles in tech. You should actually be like, let me actually do proper tech for like maybe like the first 2-3 years. I mean, I have the skills. So, I mean, even if you end up like moving to like another role like growth or something, like I mean, whoever is working with you on tech is not going to bullshit you at the minimum, right? So
I think that's so important. All right, guys, you've heard from the CTO and co-founder of Thrive Agric. I'm so privileged to have him, speak to us here.
I'm honored to be here.
It's been really, really insightful, and I hope you jot down those things, note them somewhere, and for any of those skill sets or disciplines that you need to work on. It could be ones that were not even mentioned, during this conversation. You want to be intentional about those things because at the end of the day, you don't want to stay just where you are, right? The proof of the work you've done is the growth that also comes from it. So we want to see you grow, want to see you start up something, want to see you, I mean, maybe maybe within the company, but like, lead and, grow your career to the fullest potential. So I hope this inspires you to do that. And thank you so much once again.
It's
been an honor having you here.
That was really good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right,
and guys should subscribe to this channel.
If you're watching this on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere, please click the like button and subscribe to get updated for new episodes. All right. Bye. Until next time.
All right. Bye, guys.